Hello, and thank you so much for tuning into the program. I'm your host, Neal Howard, here on Health Professional Radio. Summer's winding down, and now that the season's coming to a close, think back, how many times have you or someone that you know, or maybe your children or their children, been sunburned this summer? Unprotected sun exposure can increase your risk of skin cancer, the most common cancer here in the United States. And your skin cancer risk doesn't end with summertime. Here to explain why is Dr. Jennifer Lucas, a board-certified dermatologist from the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio. Welcome to Health Professional Radio, Dr. Lucas.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. I'm talking about sunburn and how it can affect you, not just in the summer, but thought summertime was the time of the year to have it. What do we need to know if we did get sunburned this summer?
Well, I think it's important for people to understand that anybody can get a skin cancer, irregardless of your age or your race or your gender. And really some staggering statistics. 1 in 5 Americans at some point in time in their lifetime are going to develop a skin cancer. And on average, 1 American dies from melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer, every hour. So all of that unprotected exposure that you're getting, be it UV rays from the sun, indoor tanning, it's all a risk factor for all these types of skin cancer, including melanoma. So you mentioned sunburn. So if you look and you get just one blistering sunburn when you're a child or an adolescent, it nearly doubles your risk for developing melanoma. And if you get, in our teenage years, another study showed between the ages of 15 and 20, if you get 5 or more of these, it increases your risk of melanoma by 80% and non-melanoma skin cancers by 68%. So truly, all of that all that sun exposure that you get year-round, it all adds up, and it all matters. So when it's fall, winter, you're outside raking leaves, shoveling snow, watching a sporting event, it's important to protect your skin.
Growing up, we'd go swimming all the time, and my friends would get sunburned, and it'd just be, no big deal. I'm just sunburned. It would peel off, and everything was great. So now I'm understanding that they are at a higher risk than maybe anybody thought that they were. So how do we protect our skin throughout the year, in the winter and the fall months as well?
So the American Academy of Dermatology recommends a few things. Number one, it's important that you seek shade. So in particular, during the midday sun, hours of 10 to 2 when the sun's intense, and, another rule of thumb is if your shadow is shorter than you are, seek shade. But just in general, seek shade. Wear that protective clothing. And use a sunscreen that's broad spectrum. So look on the bottle. You want it to say broad spectrum. You want it to be water resistant. And you want it to have an SPF of 30 or more. Now, it's interesting because probably the rate limiting step is we don't put it on enough and we don't apply it correctly. So just a couple rules here. You want to get it on at least 15 minutes before you're going to go out into the sun. Mm-hmm. And you want to repeat that application every 2 hours. Now, if you're swimming, you're sweating, you're doing something where it might get rinsed or rubbed off, you need to do it again. And then, frankly, we probably don't put enough on. If you look at the amount of sunscreen an average adult needs to protect their body, it's an ounce of sunscreen. That's basically enough to fill a shot glass. That's a lot of sunscreen. So we need to put it on, we need to do it regularly, and we need to put it on enough.
So do we need to make sure that we've got it on, as we get out of the car and go to that place that we're going to have a sandwich as we cross the beach? Is that something that we need to be, that diligent about, just going from indoors to outdoors back inside?
The more diligent you are, the more you protect your sun, because every bit of that UV light that touches you does put you at risk.
How do we detect it, first of all, and then what should we be prepared for once we're diagnosed?
So I think it's important for everyone to get comfortable looking at their skin, so doing a self-skin check. It's important to be familiar with what moles you have. A friend, a colleague, to look at your areas that you can't see, like your back, so that you notice things when they do arise. So a recent study came out and showed actually the majority of melanomas come up as new spots. So if you know what's there and you can detect something early, cure rates and survival is great. It's 98% if you get it before, it's moved or spread anywhere. So you want to become comfortable with looking at your skin and noticing when things don't look right. So let's talk about what that looks like. So when it comes to warning signs of melanoma, we're going to break it down into the ABCDs. Okay. A means asymmetry. You look at it and it looks different from side to side. B is the borders. You want things to be sharp and crisp and well-defined. You don't want it to have notches or be blurred or have irregularities. You want the color to be uniform. You don't want it to be different throughout the area. You want the diameter to be small, so D is diameter. So a general rule is 6 millimeters. Now, I'm not asking you to take a ruler necessarily and measure all your moles, but if you take a pencil eraser and hold it up and it's that size or larger, that's a risk factor. And then finally, evolution. It's changing. It's changing in its color. It's changing in its shape. It's changing, in its elevation. These are all warning signs of melanoma. But then there's the counterpart to that, and that's our non-melanoma skin cancers. So for those, we're looking for spots, that don't heal, the pimple that doesn't go away, the sore that keeps festering and coming back, that's hurting, that's bleeding, that's bothering you. These are all warning signs that you need to seek the advice of a board-certified dermatologist.
So I come to you as that board-certified dermatologist. It sounds as though almost any type of skin abnormality that is not attributed to some, obvious injury could be cancerous either immediately or in the future. How do you determine what the next step is to take after your dermatologist says, well, maybe you ought to get this checked out by someone else, a cancer specialist? Is that what normally happens, a referral?
So most of these skin cancers, the dermatologists are very able to treat, and there are times when we need to refer, but I think establishing that relationship with your dermatologist, getting comfortable with someone who knows skin, who knows how to treat these, or get you into the hands of someone who can help out with that when needed, that's the step. So again, I want to emphasize to listeners that really the most important thing is detecting these early, having that healthy respect, knowing your skin, getting in there early so things are treatable. And again, survival rates are good.
Now, where can we learn some more about protecting ourselves from the sun and how that protection relates to reduced risk of skin cancer?
So a great resource is if you visit the American Academy of Dermatology's website. There's some great information on skin cancer prevention, detection, and even if you want to find a free Spot Me Skin Cancer screening near you, and that site is going to be spotskincancer.org. I think the most important part for listeners is really getting to that website and establishing with somebody in your local area who can follow you, who can treat you, and who can provide you, board-certified dermatologists who can provide you the care you need.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate you coming in and speaking with us today.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neal Howard, with Dr. Jennifer Lucas, board-certified dermatologist on staff at the Cleveland Clinic. And we've been talking about the importance of protecting ourselves from the sun year-round to reduce our risk of skin cancer. Transcripts and audio of this program are available at healthprofessionalradio.com.au and also at hpr.fm. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, listen in and download at SoundCloud, and visit our affiliates page when you visit our platform at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au.